So, what if the internet wasn't actually owned by a handful of giant corporations? Well, a company called Linkspreed just dropped a huge announcement about a plan to rebuild the internet's physical foundation from the ground up. They're calling it the Arctic Network, and they think it's nothing less than the dawn of Web 4. Let's dig into what that really means.
It's something we never really stop to think about. But when you post a photo or send a message, where does it physically go? Who actually owns the buildings and the servers that hold our entire digital lives? This is the core question that the Arctic Network is trying to answer in a totally new way. So the big problem that Linkspreed is going after here all boils down to one word: centralization. Over the last couple of decades, the internet's physical guts and all the power that comes with it has been packed into the hands of just a few key players. And this is where we are today. Our whole digital world pretty much runs on these enormous, faceless server farms. This is the cloud, right? And a handful of corporate gatekeepers. They own and operate all of it, which gives them a staggering amount of control over our data and what we see and do online. All right, so to fight back against this centralization, Linkspreed is proposing a totally new model. I mean, it's a complete rethink of how the internet is even built, and they call it the Arctic Network. Let's take a look at how it's supposed to work.
So they're calling it the ARCT network, or Web4. And the key idea to wrap your head around is this nervous system analogy. Instead of a few giant brains, those are the server farms, just imagine a huge distributed network of thousands of small, privately owned nodes, all firing and working together, kind of like neurons in a brain.
Now, you've probably heard about Web3, right? That's mostly focused on things like decentralized finance and software built on top of blockchains. But Web 4, as Linkspreed sees it, is fundamentally different. It's not really about the software. It's about the physical hardware layer, taking the infrastructure itself and putting it back in the hands of everyday users.
Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work under the hood? Well, the entire architecture is built on three main pillars that all work together to create this brand new kind of network. It all comes down to these three things. First up, decentralized storage. So instead of your data living on some company's server, it gets encrypted, broken up into tiny pieces, and scattered across a global network. Second, distributed computing. All of those individual nodes can pool their processing power together to handle really heavy tasks like running AI without needing some giant central server. And third, and this is the big one, sovereignty. Because you own a piece of the physical network, you get to reclaim actual, real ownership of your digital identity and your stuff. Now, I know this might all sound a little bit like science fiction, but Linkspreed has laid out a surprisingly concrete roadmap to make this a reality. And believe it or not, it's starting a lot sooner than you might think. The plan is to kick things off in the first half of 2026. That's when the first Genesis nodes are set to go online and form the network's backbone. You can think of them as the founding seeds. And from there, the goal is to expand really, really fast, with a huge milestone targeted for the end of that same year. And that milestone is 10,000. That's the target. To get 10,000 active Aeronetic nodes up and running in people's homes and in small businesses all over the world, all within the first year. It's a really ambitious plan, for sure, but it's designed to create a real working alternative right from day one. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, but maybe the most important question of all is the why. This entire project is built around this idea, this philosophy of a sovereign internet. So what does that actually mean? This quote from their own vision statement really cuts to the heart of it. They're not just trying to sell another piece of tech. They truly see this as the physical foundation that people need to have real control and autonomy in a world that's becoming more and more digital. So what does a sovereign internet actually look like for you? Well, it means there's no central kill switch. It means there's no single gatekeeper who can decide to censor your content or exploit your data for profit. Because the network is physically owned and operated by its users, it's the users who are actually in control. And to give you a really powerful example of what this unlocks, Linkspreed says that with this network, you could launch your own social media platform in a matter of seconds. Just imagine that, a social network that isn't owned by some giant corporation, but is powered directly by the community that actually uses it. And all of this leaves us with a pretty huge question. The Arctic Network is a massive bet that the future of the internet isn't about building bigger and bigger data centers, but about going back to a distributed, user-owned model. Now, whether this vision can actually take on the tech giants, well, that's the big question, isn't it?
But it is, without a doubt, a radical new way of thinking about the very foundation of our digital world.